It's hard to design a game, which is why we start with prototypes. A prototype is like a small version of a game. The idea is get the basic framework and then expand outwards. So what does that mean? Player feedback and rapid iteration should be a cornerstone of your design process. But there's not much to play right now, so we can't really have people play it yet. So we gotta make a prototype first. But to make a prototype, we first must understand what the game we're trying to make actually is. For starters, I know I want the garden to be guarded, right? If anything has to be in there, that has to be it. I can't get sued for false advertising. I'm not trying to go to prison again.
All right, campers. Now that we have our fantastic game idea, now I guess we gotta figure out what the genre is. I feel like we should try that first at least. Now, realistically, the game idea could fit in a few different genres. It could be a tower defense where the plants act as turrets and they defeat waves of bugs like Plants vs. Zombies. But I guess that is just Plants vs. Zombies, so let's not do that one. I even played around with the idea of a roguelike, where the gardens would be a stage, and you would go starting from nothing stage after stage and seeing how many gardens you can guard in the one life. Which sounds pretty cool, but it's honestly not as cozy as I'm intending the player experience to be. So the last idea I had was more survival game, more like Minecraft, Terraria, or Valheim. But to me personally, in all three of these indie darlings, the gardening kind of feels like an afterthought. Which sucks, because that's what I like to do. I love to garden. So if we take other mechanics that are typical to a survival game, you know, building, crafting, farming, fighting, drinking, sleeping maybe, eating potentially, and I just gotta copy and paste those into my game, and boom bang, now we got a video game. Cool. Here's the issue though. How do I know how to implement those systems that are right for my game without just implementing them in a generic way because they are tropes of that genre? And if I'm doing it the way everybody else is doing it, then it could have been like anybody else could have done it. You know what I mean? And I don't want that. I want it to be like I did it. I want it to be my game. And if you're making a game and you're following along with this as like a guide or something, I bet you want it to be like your game too. And in my opinion, I think that's inherently the issue with starting with this direction of starting with a genre. What if I don't even want eating or drinking? I don't know. I'm stressed out. If I don't have those, is it no longer a survival game? I don't know. Now, obviously, if it works for you, then that's perfect. But for me personally, it's hard to know where I'm supposed to go from here. I don't know what to do. What do I do?
Here's a little secret I'm going to tell you guys, and this is illegal to know. Genres don't matter, especially at this stage of development. Genres are for marketing. It's to allow the players to understand the vague experience that they're about to get into. But using genres to start with the game idea traps you in a little box of what you think that game should be about. And your ideas will be influenced by the common tropes of that genre. If you add mechanics and systems that are supposed to be in your game, but you're not understanding why it's in the game or why it serves the game you're trying to make, it might end up being a little bit muddy. And we don't want muddy. But let me give you secret number 2. As a designer, you're not designing a game. Get that idea out of here. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're designing an experience that can only be captured in a game. So if the genres are dookie, what do we design a game around? Well, I'm glad you asked. So glad you asked. Well, it's simple. We design around a central theme, an experience that we're trying to aim at. In the game of Garden Guardians, I want the player to feel like a garden gnome. First, we should always research and learn all we can about our topic. That could be reading books, watching some YouTube video essays, go to a library. You ever been to one of those? You ever heard of a library before? Then let's make an association chart to expand all the ideas related to our central theme.
These are just a collection of words that invoke the feeling of a garden gnome. Now, ideally, it would be a lot bigger. This is just for the YouTube video. We're gonna use this as a guide for our emotional through line. So for an example, we'll take one of the words such as tinker and artisan, and we'll build mechanics around that idea to make you feel like a gnome.
Therefore, to feel like a garden gnome, I want the player to feel creative, expressed through crafting, to interact with the ecosystem in unique ways, with the theme of respecting and appreciating nature throughout the game. I hope it's becoming clear why we want to design this way. Each mechanic has a central emotional theme to tie back to, helping it feel like it has depth rather than a loose connection of mechanics, tying a very lovely bow around aesthetics and gameplay. To really sell the feeling of being a garden gnome, we have to really sell the aesthetics as well. But I'll leave that for another video. For this, it's all about gameplay, baby. In fact, it doesn't even matter what the game looks like. It could even be pieces of paper. You know what? That's a pretty good idea. Let's make a paper prototype. A paper prototype is essential. It's like a board game version of your game that you can change rapidly. It's a lot easier to change out note cards.
Note cards. Note. I don't know if my soul left my body when I said that, or I don't know what that sound was. I've never made that sound before.
Than it is to code entire systems just to throw it away. And once we figure out the paper prototype, and make it pretty good, we can then translate that into the game engine. And even though the real game is going to happen over the course of seasons, in this prototype, we're just going to have it go round after round. But that will represent month after month. Did you get that, Cameron? You got that? Okay. Cameron, you get that one? You get that one? Let me go. What if I go over here? Okay. You got me? Now we're over here. Let's see. Oh no, I bent this. Sorry, flower. That's fine. You can be in this pocket.
Now me personally, I like to design based off iteration. So to start, we literally just need anything. A simple game loop. Let's have you grow a garden, right? Got it. And then bugs will come and try to get you. They're gonna try real hard to get you, but you gotta squash them. Make sure you squash them. If you don't squash them, then oh no, that won't be good. That will not be good. The ecosystem will be destroyed, and it will be your fault. So we have a game loop. Perfect. We have a way to win and we have a way to lose. But you don't even need to play it to know that this is going to be boring as something that's really boring. And we know this because the game loop is a straight line. You know what this bad boy needs? This bad boy needs a little something I like to call player choice. We need some player choice.
If a player chooses between two abilities, right? One is a snowball ability and one is a rock throw ability, but they do the same damage, that's having the same output. That choice on which spell to have is not interesting. But if the snowball put out fires and slowed down enemies, whereas the rock stunned and broke barriers, that would be an interesting choice because the player gets to choose something that interacts with the world and they can see the outcome of their choice immediately. And that's what makes the choice meaningful.
Now, to use the super famous quote from Sid Meier, creator of the Civilization series, a game is a series of interesting decisions. Now, there is a ton to this statement, and I'm gonna give you the shortest version I can. As developers, in order for our game to be fun, we need to present the player interesting choices, especially choices that influence the experience that the player is having. Now, this could be cosmetic, this could be gameplay related, and for our circumstance, whether the player wins or loses. So let's go back to the paper prototype. The idea is that you play it, figure out what's not fun about it, and then change it, and then keep playing it, and just iterative cycle, right? And while playing that first edition, I noticed that it was very complicated to keep track of what bug was attacking what plant and what each plant's health was, and it was just too confusing, too stressful. So immediately, I think we should abstract the health and the target to a central location. And you can think of this as the overall garden vitality. For our purposes, I'm just going to represent that as a bird fountain because that's a dummy, right? But because the bushes aren't the health bar anymore, what should they do? Well, how about when they fully grow, you can harvest it for wood. Dude, now we have wood now. Let's go. Woo! But we still need that player choice. So how about we choose to do something with this wood resource? Maybe we could either make an axe to kill bugs faster or make a barricade to last longer. Either way, we're getting something called player power, which is how powerful the player is. But how are we even going to get seeds to grow into bushes so we can get the wood? We can't go to Gnome Depot, they don't got one of those here. So how about, for now, the bugs drop seeds? Because that means defeating bugs will feel really good because defeating bugs leads directly to player power. So what if you get hurt, right? What if you break a knee? What if you split an elbow? What are you gonna do? You're gonna sit there and cry about it? No, you're gonna heal. So how about you can use a seed, you can consume a seed to heal. And this is adding another player choice, but it also has cascading effects because the more you heal, the less wood you can get. So now you have to balance your seed resource in, do I want the short-term benefit to heal or the long-term benefit of player power at the risk of potentially dying sooner? The other reason why I really like this choice is because you're using 100% of the garden, which goes back to the love of nature thing on our chart. Remember that from like 2 minutes ago? Do you see the connection? Do you see the thinking process? Do you see it?
And now you have a paper prototype, so that's pretty cool. I think we have a prototype. Guys, I think we're ready to go to the engine now. I think we're ready to put it into the video game engine. I think we're ready to make a video game instead of a board game. So let's take this whole prototype and push it over there. There's nothing over. I didn't put it over there yet. It's on my computer. Stupid.